what it is.
Yeah, that is the big question. I mentioned Zeri in the last draft. I think would have done a lot better than Misfortune, but we are now Anniless, right? Like, there's even less engage to lock her down.
Yeah.
I think Hype, this is your angle, I think, to play that champion. I mean, I don't think you're going to be picking it early on red side, but
there is so much potential for hypercarry because not only is there not a lot of engage left over, I think it's Rakan that's the only thing that's really left up.
Yunara 100% has to be banned for all these reasons.
But there's also Nautilus and Vi have been taken away, which
no
are
Wukong.
the things that can really lock things down. Yunara obviously does have to be banned, like you were talking about. No Wukong, and no Poppy, and no Talia. So the dashes are certainly going to run rampant in this game. Yone and Yunara both taken away here as we are stuck in the Ys. But let's see what is going to be going away next. I've written down in very large letters, Yorick and Nico. I think both of these champions need to be addressed as Sejuani. So, if we're looking at our jungle pool from what has been played so far here in the play-ins, Sejuani, Skarner, and Nocturne are the only ones that are really sitting in that, like, A to B tier.
Sure. Then you have other niche picks like the AP junglers that we haven't seen in the LCK. You have the Lee Sin pick, the Viego that's still relatively valuable. I don't think we'll be seeing Showmaker play that again in this series, but he certainly could try for it depending on the comp. I think a lot of the tools that help empower that pick are gone. They were definitely going to ban Azir here no matter what. They just wanted to discuss some other potential picks here because the Sejuani is gone. Heard something like a Jax. The other top lane picks that are kind of interesting and still available are like the Jace that we've seen rising in popularity. So the Yorick you mentioned for Morgan always sticks out like a sore thumb. And I mean, there's no Sejuani here now. Picks like the Jax go down in priority, was banned in the previous game. Tristana, interesting, saying I don't want to deal with any of those AP jungle shenanigans.
I wonder what this indicates as far as the first pick is concerned. Tristana often picked into Galio, but obviously that was played in the last game, so has been fearlessly banned away.
Just, I think maybe trying to deny some sort of, red side AP jungle pick, maybe.
Yeah.
As Twisted Fate will also be taken away here, so Pantheon is up as a global pick, and that is, I think, part of what this Tristana ban was trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they're gonna pick Pantheon.
They certainly are.
The jungle question mark that I had written down is now going to be somewhat solved for one side of the rift, but Croco, I mean, right now it's like Nocturne or Skarner, and of course Nocturne can kind of answer the global pressure a little bit by turning off the lights and dashing over to someone, but I don't know whether it's got the same amount of synergy alongside it without the Orianas there and things like this.
Yeah, or you need a really strong side laning champion that you can play through.
Well, the Yorick wasn't banned.
Yeah. So we picked red side. We're still go Jarvan and maybe Sivir.
For some reason, I completely blanked on Jarvan.
Yeah.
So this is actually a decent trade.
Well, they didn't pick it last time when it was a pretty obvious and free choice, but this time they do lock it in. Sivir, pretty strong into Pantheon, pretty strong wave clear. You don't have necessarily a strong global to pair with it here. The Rise is gone.
Zeri Lulu, we're just going to slam it.
I think you could. Or
you could go a different direction, which is a show us your Draven.
I don't know about picking Draven into Jarvan. That's not a good way for things to go disastrous. I think this is not actually a serious pick, but
I hope not.
It could be.
Zeri obviously.
Zeri is so easy.
Yeah, this is what we were kind of expecting. And yeah, so they do just slam Zeri Lulu. As it turns out,
Nico is up though.
Right.
So this is not a free win in the lane for the Lulu as it often has been.
That's kind of crazy that that slipped my mind as well. Okay,
so
let's get it together. That is a very strong red side.
It's a strong pick with the Jarvan, and I was wondering if there was any other mid pick that's high prio enough here to grab in this case instead. And like Dplus Kia knew they wanted the Lulu because it helps follow up on Pantheon engage, helps keep this area alive, it helps you in lane, but you're going to be laning into the Nico no matter what, assuming there wasn't some crazy pick here for closer that I was kind of thinking maybe Dplus were expecting when they let that one through. End of the day, though, it's not going to be the case, as not a missed ban, I hope.
Well, it is going to be the Gnar. Oh, so
yeah, we know that.
Ban Gwen.
Yeah, I mean Gwen is so strong in this situation with the Sivir, right? Like,
yeah,
and you don't want them to have their hands on it, but you have pick priority here, as the Pantheon plus the Gwen is so incredibly powerful.
Oh, Victor's going to continue to be banned away here. An interesting one.
What else do they decide to ban here? Like, the Jax value is pretty low. Jace, if you want to play the Gwen, feels like a pretty good champ to take away to protect it. But then they might just ban the Gwen in that final spot.
I wouldn't mind a Jax ban. Or, angling to pick that one up themselves. But you could ban it away and really put yourself in a position to be able to play the Gwen. The Yorick is going to be taken off the board as Morgan's like, if I'm going to play Gwen and I then don't get to play Yorick, then neither do you.
If they ban Gwen, maybe you just go Camille.
Oh god, flashbacks.
Yeah, I mean, Morgan has played it in some very pivotal best of fives.
Oh, I was talking about Shu.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I like it for the bros. That's a better angle.
Yeah, no, if they get their hands on it, you're in trouble, but somebody's got to lock down the Zeri, right? And ban Cassiopeia instead. That has been one of Closer's favorites, usually into the Rise.
Someone remind Showmaker that this is Fearless, and the Rise has been already picked.
So if you go for Gwen, you have side lane power. With the wave clear you have in mid, you can kind of just control tempo on the map. If you go for something like a Camille, you just kill Zeri. Like, that's your game plan. You get on top of Zeri, you kill Zeri. You hope that is what is going to happen in every single fight. If you go Cassante, you get neither. And you just hope for front-to-back team fights with your Sivir later, and you go, I'm just going to let this game go late and hope for the best.
Oh, okay. I'm not entirely sold on the Cassante lock-in here, as Gragas is the hover. Interesting.
Well, the Narban I thought was for Gwen, but it was for this instead, I suppose. The Gragas is interesting. Showmaker LeBlanc.
There we go.
I mentioned it earlier on in the series. If that's one that you can definitely pop off and carry on. I'm not seeing a ton of frontline for the Zeri in this draft, but hold on, we'll wait and see. Like, Shiyu, it's certainly not an Orin angle.
It's an Olaf.
And he's just going to play Gragas.
They're just going to play Gragas. Okay. And honestly, Gragas into Nico feels pretty good, especially if you can read where she's going to be. This could also work.
This is
pretty good at killing tanks, right? But instead, the Jax is what they're going to consider.
Yeah.
That does add some frontline. And there are some champions that do like to auto-attack in this game. That's an Akali lock-in. Closer has decided that this is this is do or die, right? He's going to have a good time.
This game is going to be a close game, I think, Atlas. This is not going to be a one-sided game, I think. Because this game has two insanely strong scaling elements with the Sivir and the Zeri that you want to play through. There's a lot of explosive pieces on the top side of both of these comps, though, in the LeBlanc and the Akali, right? And then the Pantheon that can follow up so easily on any sort of aggression the LeBlanc brings through. If you get first turret early on in the game, like Dplus Kia, have so much agency. Honestly, whoever gets first turret is going to have such a good time. Matching the wave clear for the Sivir is going to be a bit of an issue, I would say, for the side of Dplus and the Zeri. I think both of these drafts aren't really what we would call standard compositions. They aren't simple to play. They're both hard to play. So I do think that if we have a team take a 5,000 gold lead, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, by the way. You know, like, this is the kind of game where all it takes is one swing on a late game team fight, one crazy LeBlanc pick from Showmaker, and you're right back in it.
I'm very intrigued about how both of these compositions are going to function. I can see how Dplus want to be playing this one out, but it could also be very, very scary if the LeBlanc starts to fall behind, if the Pantheon doesn't find the value. And on this side, certainly the Akali is going to be a little bit of a risk. Cassante being some ups and downs. Let's get under the rift, see what happens. Game number 4.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for game number 4. And on screen at the very beginning, didn't really want to talk about this, but Beryl's been having a rough day. And now he's playing Lulu again. And last time he did that, it wasn't great.
Yeah, can we get the stat of the lower third of the last time Beryl played Lulu?
No, let's not do that. As Beryl's just going to face check Morgan, Polo, and Hype. As, yeah, sometimes the...
I wouldn't even call that a caster curse. That's just like a caster truth.
I think that was a caster prediction.
Yeah, an accurate caster prediction as well.
Sometimes you like it when your point gets proven. That time, I didn't like it when my point got proven. As Ward does go down
it's
immediately on top of Bro's Ward.
like at the end of the day, it is technically an even trade of summoners, but the Flash more valuable than both secondary summoners for Hype and Paulo, and you know, it's a big win here for the side of Bro's bottom lane in a matchup where it can get a little bit out of hand if the Nico's able to add a lot of poke damage in. This matchup also very fun to watch, very rare to see both of these mid laners that are more assassin-based and less supportive.
Yeah, a lot of burst potential on both sides. I feel like a lot of finesse in these fights as well, as Showmaker should have a fair bit of agency early, but obviously we know that Akali just wants to live as the game goes on.
This is the kind of Dplus draft where you can just kind of say, forget team fights, forget team comp synergy. We got a lot of comfort here, and we have big outplay potential, and individual players can pop off, and even if our team fights in 5v5s aren't that clean, it doesn't matter if Showmaker finishes his Magi's, you know?
Well, we'll see whether he does actually build one. He does certainly like to, especially on LeBlanc. As aiming and barrel a little bit split at this point, looking a bit awkward, but...
Akali's not doing so hot. Closer's not doing so hot on it either.
Hasn't quite found the same value that he has in other seasons and other years on this Akali. Has, in the past, been one of his big picks, of course, came into the LCK as the Aurelia one trick, but did find a fair bit of success on the Akali, especially when she was a lot stronger earlier on.
Yeah, it was such a strong counterpick to Azir for a really long time. Not the case in this meta. And unfortunately is going to struggle in most matchups in the early game. Showmaker is going to use his Electrocute as aggressively as possible to try to further that lead. Paulo's just going to look to fish for some potential snares and otherwise poke here as they push this wave in.
Yep, aiming, dashing after Hype here momentarily. Does get hit by a bit of the Boomerang Blade. But as long as you get the cannons, you're just pretty happy. As this will be mostly biding time for both teams, right?
Yeah.
Both Sivir and Zeri want to be getting to, you know, 2 to 3 items to really feel comfortable. As Lucid,
it doesn't check.
Yeah, just barely not seen. And Lucid actually was paying attention towards his bottom side of the map. Now it's going to be a 2v2 and a 1v1. Is now Paulo getting chased down. Aiming, though, going a little bit aggressive is Hype. Not going to flash for it, but does get Aiming's flash for his trouble. We're running out of summoner spells. As Lucid's also running out of position on the map, as things are looking a little bit confusing. Standing on top of the Lord right now as Barrel's moving up. We'll see whether LeBlanc can move down, as Showmaker might need to help out, and he is going to be able to get down there. All right. The Pros will be able to claim their prize in form of a crab.
Yeah, that's what this all ends up into, as Aiming has to back first, but ironically is probably going to like it now since Hype stayed so long. He's just going to get back to the lane first with Barrel rushing back over as well. And so a relatively even trade. Scuttle goes to Bro, nobody dies, and Barrel's lack of flash, he's not punished. Aiming, losing both summoners, doesn't feel great. Whereas this is, every time we look up here, I'm like, whoa, something happened since the last time we were up here.
I feel like the turret may have hurt Shio a little bit, based on where the minions were, but as you can see, things very, very even between our two top laners at this stage of the game. Shio just going to immediately be teleporting back to that wave to try and put that pressure on once again. Teleport going to follow there from Morgan, so no real advantages one way or the other as far as that is concerned. And Lucid back in his jungle, just going to continue the clear. We'll be able to get rid of his top side now.
Just going to go back to this lane here where both laners had teleport back in. Neither mid laner have backed yet, so just sitting on initial items here, which gets harder and harder for Closer, obviously. Will want to back as soon as he can, as he's still sitting just on that door and shield. Health advantage here is slightly going to the favor of Bro.
Yeah, Barrel does like it when he's at about 300 health, though, as now they're healing to try and catch up. Paulo not going to quite find the tackle bobs.
Yeah.
That was rough, because he looked a bit like a sitting duck. Paulo was getting ignored, but unfortunately, you got to hit that.
Yeah, if you hit that, it's a completely different story. He has to heal. And Barrel's about to have his flashback, so he's not feeling great here, and
hopefully Beryl has flashbacks to winning worlds. That's what I'd like to see. Instead of flashbacks to previous games of this series, that would certainly be good.
And maybe he enjoys the old SNES game as well. I think this lane is going to relatively even out from here, unless someone makes a big mistake. We are looking to see if Paulo hits a big snare. Spell Shoot getting a ton of value here, as Lucid is coming over, but like so is Croco, and we're gonna just 3v3
It's the same play. It's exactly the same play all over again. This time though, Lucid is going to have an added advantage because his mid laner is roaming down. This control ward going to get cleared out as Lucid. He's the one that face checks, immediately finds the stun onto Croco.
Closer's here too now.
Yeah, Flash does have to be burnt here. Showmaker does put him on a leash. Now Closer finding a bit of an angle. Connects the Shuriken backflip, but decides to not dive into 4 people. And to be honest, I respect him for it.
This might be like the most damage done in the first 7 minutes of a game, resulting in no kills. This is actually an insane amount of fighting here on the bottom side of the map, but nothing does eventuate in terms of a big explosive gold advantage. But it's just lane prio for Showmaker that you're seeing in the small gold lead that Dplus currently have.
Shoot, going to be charging up that counter-strike. Morgan does have access to the all-out and is actually winning on a lot of these health trades. Looking pretty good on the Cassante, especially in this one.
Yeah, and he's got 2 biscuits and that extra refillable on top of it. That feels pretty good for continuing to pressure here.
Lucid is so close to 6, man.
Yeah, like if he hits 6 though, I think Morgan is going to regret what he is doing now, and we'll actually just decide that's enough pressure in this top side. We'll take the opportunity to back because of the lane swapping hype into the top lane. And the next big fight seems like it's going to end up eventuating on the Grubs with how everyone is posturing right now. 15 seconds until they spawn. Closer has gotten out of the toughest part of this lane and is starting to be able to match farm here. Get that cannon though, surely. Yeah,
nailed it. 5-point strike going to be enough there. Hextech Cookie completed here for Closer. Looking like a dash cannon first item type scenario here for the Akali.
We will see both top laners just not involved in the Grub fight. Lucid tried to start this up. He's going to at least get some minis.
Yeah, we do have an immediate rotation over though.
Hollow was like 1 ward if they still get XP away from 6, but he doesn't have it. So unfortunate for him.
Yeah, Beryl also doesn't have wild growth though. Both of them.
They're 6.
Yeah, pretty important as now there's the Grand Starfall. Hollow does find the knockup though, and immediately Lucid is taken down so incredibly low. But first blood goes over to Showmaker. Finally, Closer is able to lock that one down, just presses R on the Pantheon, but has to use it to get himself out. And now DK with control of the area. Now we've got some ults flying out on the bottom side as well, as she with some fancy footwork is able to avoid Morgan. But Morgan didn't actually go all out in that play.
We're just going to continue to skirmish here. The answer seems to be yes, as Beryl does not quite get hit by that Shuriken on the black flip, but still going to be able to push this lane up into the top side. Only 1 grub was secured, and it was for Bro. Otherwise, just a trade of kills on the junglers, mid laners, the ones who received them, as Showmaker's in trouble.
Yeah, Closer actually going to be able to find an angle here as he does go into his shroud, but Lucid's found him! Now Showmaker having to flash away from the Akali, who does have the passive prepped, and there it is! Solo kill for Closer! And Lucid may not actually win this one, as the Shuriken backflip is going to connect. And Lucid gives him a good old thumbs up as he slinks into the jungle, not wanting to go for the 1v1. But in the meantime, Croco is on the dragon. And Lucid's just going to have to go over.
I don't know about if you really want to find an Akali here.
Well, he does find him regardless. As 2 seconds, Showmaker is now back up again as he's just dead. So that is going to be an execution. No kill going over to Beryl this time around.
There wasn't any vision on for like where Lucid was there. Otherwise, obviously, he would have tried to maybe do something different there. He was looking for the execute initially, and he's like, I don't know if they're following me. Tries to channel back, and then eventually just goes for the execute. And will get away with it, but that's a big swing of gold over to this Akali that has a dash cannon online. We do have those first items here for both mid laners. Yeah. But everything else here just continues to be a very close game. 2 grubs do get picked up here eventually for Dplus after it as, Xiu.
Xiu was kind of looking for it. It's kind of crazy. Health bar pretty low.
He did have advantage, yeah.
Grandmaster's Might is up and available
Croco though.
Yeah, looking to make his way in. There's the Cataclysm to start it off. He does get stunned, but thankfully he gets the flag and drag out of there.
Yeah, that was, unfortunately for Croco, a Jax under turret.
Yeah.
I like the idea, but that ultis doesn't do that much damage yet. Lucid actually coming down here, I thought maybe he would make a play here, but doesn't quite have his ultimate back up just yet.
Okay, here comes Showmaker. There's the wild growth engage from Beryl. Pop Blossom going to pick up the Lulu, but Hype is in no position to deal damage. Aiming, locking down the kill, but the shuriken backflip doesn't connect onto the Zeri. Perfect execution's exactly that though from Closer as Morgan's underneath the turret. Showmaker, I don't know whether he's going to be making his way out of this one. He's going to see what he can do as he goes back to the ulti, but there's just too many here. And Lucid, way too late, as Morgan can tank this one up for long enough. Closer actually picks up the aggro. I thought Morgan was definitely dead there, but it's a bloodbath, but one in favor of the Bros.
Shiu gets a little bit of extra time down there, but don't ever underestimate the Bros. They're ready to scrap. They're down to scrap. Sometimes they sit back and brew, but if you think you're going to TP flank and they won't show up to answer, think again. As we go all the way back to this play here earlier with Closer, he's able to phenomenally follow here, knows that he has enough damage here onto Showmaker, and Lucid cannot actually follow once the stun is down, and ends up having the passive. Prek gets the kill and then decides to execute himself. We know what happens after this. I don't know if we really need to watch all of this, but he knows that Lucid can't actually kill him, but he doesn't want to go on the shuriken because the stun is prepped with max stacks there. And then over here, Showmaker goes in, and it feels like, okay, this is going to make sense. This is definitely going to work, but Closer also TPs, and Paulo, he dies first. Closer misses the backflip, but he does not care. And with Morgan here, it's just a sick play. Honestly, Bro really just calling out the bluff, saying, yeah, you think a flank is enough, but if we actually have more members here, we win this. And the Pantheon ult comes through so late, just instantly knocked up. Nothing he could do.
Really, really nicely done there by the Bros. And showing that power of friendship can actually win you games. Everyone getting involved, getting in there together. And there is now a gold advantage for Closer, sitting up by about 400, even though the CS deficit is quite large.
Now, the game is still, I think, pretty dead even, but when you have one of these explosive mids starting to pull ahead, the outplay potential becomes kind of insane. And, you know, Showmaker did get a small lead in the early parts of this matchup, but now that these kills have started to come through for Closer, this is really, really scary, right? And when we see that Herald spawn in 2 minutes time, I think it's going to be incredibly high value for either of these teams who pick it up because of taking that mid turret off the map, meaning that these assassin mid laners will just have so much more agency, so much more pick potential, so much more flank potential, especially in Showmaker's case on the LeBlanc. But even the Akali is going to love the extra power she gets there.
Yep. And the fact that Morgan gets a couple of kills has kind of bailed him out. As you can see, the gold lead is minuscule between the Jax and the Cassante, but the CS margin, about 20 at this point in time. It's like 3 waves in favor of Shiu. It is a bit of a big deal, but has been mitigated by that last play as Closer in a side lane. Going to be a very scary prospect. Tangle Barb's not connecting here by Polu. As we know, the Nico can be an absolute monster in setting up some fights, but can also, like, if you whiff, you can sometimes just explode. And Polu has been a problem there as we get a bit of a zoom in. -1's in the chat for Showmaker. Bit unfortunate.
Yeah, this is a very, very volatile game state here because, like, the Zeri is ready to pop off in a team fight. You have so much setup here for her, and you also have Showmaker who can threaten the backline as we have a bit of a...
Aiming needs to be a little careful. Bit of a poke war. Still fishing for a little more, but now we've got an ult in from Lucid, diving right on top of Hype, who goes on the hunt. And Polu going to split some shapes, and it is just going to be DK getting back control of this mid lane.
Yeah, just for a moment here. Heavy commitment, but doesn't matter too much as
Yeah, Morgan does need to be a little careful. Shiu, now that he's got his Trinity Force, feeling so much better in the matchup, starting to bully, is now continuing to go for it. Finding the empowers one after the other. There's the ulti from Aiming, looking for Hype here. And with the wave crashing in, Hype very, very low. We'll see whether Lucid goes for anything, but that spell shield makes the Pantheon by himself a little difficult to make work.
Just go straight for Herald here with the advantage they just gained. Instead, they're going to kind of back off.
Could be a dragon opportunity as well if they'd like to go there, but I think making something out of this pressure that they've put together is good.
They kind of just made a lot of great small plays and then said, okay, we'll back now. And so Bro are going to be feeling, I think, phenomenally about how that exchange went because they had so many disadvantages after that exchange. And Kroko is going to go straight to Dragon here. Question mark pings on the Herald because neither team has vision. Dplus do not know about this Dragon take or anything like that, so they're completely blind right now. And in fact, Bro look like they're just going to get this Dragon for free, and because Dplus don't have vision on Herald, they're like just going to maybe lose both, you know? Like, Bro get this one, they can actually go up and contest the top side.
Yeah, this is actually really well played by the Bros. DK not really worried about dragons at this stage of the game, I guess. And when you've got a Zeri, I mean, she's kind of the win condition. You don't need to worry as much about it as Shiu going to walk up a little bit late. It is going to be an Infernal Soul.
Double Dragon on the high roll here for Bro.
Yeah, feeling good. Also, if DK can stack up 4 of these, they will not have any issues with damage. Let's just say that.
True. That is very true. As Shiu here really continuing to put the pressure on this Cassante, but if he doesn't get kill pressure, it takes a really long time to wear down that turret, but he might be able to do it on this next push.
Look at how aggressive Beryl is positioned. It makes me nervous.
If Shiu gets this turret, it's feats of strength, by the way, which is kind of crazy. 16 minutes into the game, almost 17 minutes in.
Yeah, getting pretty late, actually. One more objective for the Bros, so like you were talking about, if this Herald is going to get contested, you best hope that, okay, in goes aiming, finding an angle here is Hype, one more auto, the flash does get aiming in there, the wild growth to keep him alive. Can he skate his way out? Does he even want to get out as he gets so much of his health back? And DK find a pivotal fight just before the potential Herald.
That's just such a massive play there from aiming and Barrel, and they're looking for more!
Oh, in goes Showmaker, just surfs his way through. That is going to guarantee the Herald, and maybe even more.
LeBlanc has long been kind of considered a counterpick for Nico because of her ability to catch her on flanks and to hunt her down, but this is really not the reason. This is just full map control, full topside control of the lane there, and Showmaker finds a stray Palu and takes him out. It's a ton of gold, inconsequential on the objective, because they were going to get that no matter what, but Showmaker getting that extra bonus is so massive here for Dplus. As look at this collapse here onto Hype. He is able to spell shield initially, but that means he gets stunned here even with the buffer with the flash, and then the wild growth here to keep aiming alive. There is no more lockdown for the Zeri, and then Palu here. He knows Showmaker clears this ward, but he stays and dies.
Yeah, I think it was just a distortion, mimic distortion, and then he's dead. So a little bit unfortunate there for Palu. We mentioned Palu is going to be so important for the Bros if they're going to get us to that game number 5. And that is 2 items now done for the Zeri. Certification question mark. I mean, it was looking a little bit dire.
I mean, I considered it for sure.
저거 잡아볼게.
I'm gonna try to look for it.
Well, he did.
Got it.
설명하자 설명.
And then calls to go for Herald, which they did secure and will secure the mid turret, which is scary because LeBlanc got that bonus kill, and now there's no turret in the mid lane, or there won't be once they decide to destroy it with the Herald.
And now, next objective for either team is going to be feats of strength. So that is a whole lot of fun. See who's going to be able to lock it down. So far, Dragons have belonged to the Bros, but this time, DK, I don't think they're just going to give up Soul Point for free.
No, I don't think so. And the mid turret being down also really helps them set up for Plyo for any objective on the map. And this is a Sivir who just lost mid turret. That's not what you want to be doing in this combat. That's really a big way to describe this game state, is the fact that Hype's just been kind of hanging out, trying to defend a turret, sitting under turret.
Yeah. And now 1-3-1, right? It's not something we've really spoken about yet, but LeBlanc and Jax with side lane support in a Pantheon, even the mobility of a Zeri who can actually skate over a lot of walls to get her way into the action if there is going to be some sort of skirmish.
I mean, they have 2 grubs, it's not 3, but it's still a lot of extra damage for these 2 champions that are winning both of their side lane matchups right now.
Yeah, and will continue to do so, right? It's not like later in the game Cassante will be able to beat Jax in a side lane. That's just never what is going to happen.
It's not a thing, and the Jarvan can only pick 1, whereas the Pantheon can impact basically 2 at the same time. As I think the way back into this game for Bro is just a really big combo here with Palu and Croco.
But I think it has to be team fights, and it has to be aiming, getting singled out, all-outed, destroyed, and then they win the fight, right? Their chase down is actually incredible, right? With Siva, Akali, like there's so much mobility there. And lockdown with the Jarvan.
I think though the problem is if everyone goes in onto aiming and Showmaker's just waiting, he just also kills Hype 1v1, and then you're like, uh-oh, that's kind of problematic. And then Jax either takes over the fight, or you trade 80 carries so the fight slows down, and Shiu's in the side lane killing your turrets, you know? The game state here is so tough for Bro, and if you could describe those fights, okay, this could be a scenario where...
oh, wait! Yeah, Close are going to be able to find him here. And aiming is really dead.
Okay, well,
Why was he there?
Caster Curse, maybe?
Yeah,
Caster Blessing for Bro, maybe?
I'm still not...
He's like, I'm Zeri. I'm like, well, there is an Akali over there, though. That's a 4th kill for Closer.
Yep, I think scholars are still asking the
question. That's right before Soul Point, by the way. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm 15 seconds until aiming is back up again, and they know now that they cannot contest for this. So that is feats of strength and the kill onto the Zeri. A whole lot of tempo and momentum back in the favor of the Bros.
I mean, just suddenly off of a pick like that, and I can hear Chronicler's voice from here. I can hear Cadrill's voice from here. That's not the pick you wanted to be giving over. Now, they're going to turn this into an Otacon take here on the top side. Closer has TP. Morgan has TP. But
they have no vision. They have done no homework.
They just don't have any vision here whatsoever. I think they simply have to give this up.
Well, Xiu is going to teleport in.
Okay, they're going to commit to a late contest, but it's just way too late.
Yeah, no, it's not a contest. They do know. So they can watch.
To a watch. They're going to check it out.
Yeah. So feats of strength did go over to the Bros, but the Otacon picked up here by DK. Back on the horse once again. And aiming, just like to see him not randomly in the middle of nowhere for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. Look at some of the advantages in XP that come through. Like both Xiu and aiming get a full level lead. Same with Barrel. Bro, not a pedal to their name.
Oh God, it's 33-0?
Yeah, not a single one.
How do you not get any?
Yeah, it has to be like you just don't like flowers, I guess.
I mean, the generosity of the Bros, man.
They are gonna get this turret in the bottom lane. The gold is still relatively even. And I still think the same problems that existed in the last time we asked this question, like before this happened, is how do you kill Zeri? Like, this is one way. If Zeri just walks in here, by the way, look at the map. There is nobody here. Like, Xiu, I guess.
She is just like, oh, I was just getting the Cinder. Like, see ya.
Like, he put the control ward up there. I don't know. But you don't get that opportunity twice, surely, right? Like, aiming's not going to do that again. So you still have to solve for Zeri.
Oh, do not tempt fate like that, Wolf. I know we want 5 games.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do. That's kind of why I'm like trying to figure out how Bro can kill him. Because I don't think he does that twice. And now you have to, like, you got Soul Point, but it's Soul Point. You have to get the Soul. You have to win the next fight. You actually have to win an objective here. Down on XP because of the pedals. Down on control.
I think aiming is killable. Like, the Bro comp does have the tools, right? Pop Blossom's there. All Out is there. Morgan can hold down aiming so that Hype can get the damage. Closer has a lot of burst. If they are able to get initial CC onto the Zeri, they will be able to kill her. The problem is, maybe Showmaker just kills them. Maybe Xiu is going to be too much of a problem in the backline as well. And
it's a lot of ifs, you know?
Yeah, this is actually the type of Zeri comp that I really like. One that has extra threats. And DK certainly do have that. Like, this is triple threat comp, and Lucid's also pretty strong.
Yeah, it's so scary because Deep and Fearless, like, you know, it's hard to draft into the Zeri. Dplus were like, yeah, you want Sivir, you want Wave Clear, I'll just take the Zeri, I'll take the team fight. And they got a lead in this game, albeit slight in gold, and they are down 3 dragons. I think the scaling really favors them because they have so much map control. Like, look at the mini-map and tell me that Bro have an opportunity. Croco's finding one!
Yeah, Croco gets him. The Pop Blossom comes down, but aiming just tops the wall. He does have to ghost, has to use flash, gets the wild growth. Lucid also has to flash, but that was his fault, I guess, as now he's going to dive on top of Hype. Now he's dead, though. Hype going to be able to lock down that kill.
Okay, use the Zeri to kill the Pantheon. I got it. Yeah, that's the strat. In this case, aiming caught again, but this time it's Croco who sets it up, and...
All right, Closer. Dashing on in. My whole brain is kind of a question mark ping right now.
Yeah, I mean, aiming lived, but he doesn't have sums now, so now follow-up picks are potentially going to be massive. He won't have that flash for the Dragon fight. Baron is also up here. We are 25 minutes into the game now, but I don't think either team is interested in that right now. I think the Dragon is 100% where all eyes will be. Neither team has really any vision set up there. Bro has like 1 ward kind of in the area, but top laners here with TP. So I think this is going to be a 5v5 fight that may actually be game deciding, and if Dplus win, it could be series deciding. As they will show up for it. They're not going to give Infernal Soul over to this Akali, over to this Sivir.
Yeah, you would hope not. And they also want to be going for fights, right? I mean, they probably do want an extra item on aiming, but right now it's item parity between himself and the Sivir.
Is he picking it up right now? He might actually have enough money.
If it's IE, then...
it is.
Yeah, that is perfect timing here. We'll see whether Hype can actually get there before this dragon does spawn in 35 seconds time.
Like, this is it. Like, the miracle run for the bros we talked about after they barely beat DRX. If they get completely crushed here, I think that is all your hopes of that World Championship down the drain, that LCK Championship down the drain.
I mean, they can give this dragon, though, right? They have 3 dragons in pocket. There is plenty of time here for the bros.
I just think they don't want to give any more scaling over to this area. They want to get this and get the longevity from it right now.
Now Showmaker does get the spell shield out from Hype. Shiu on a flank angle, though, as Morgan immediately turns onto him. Showmaker going to try and stop the follow-up, but he still gets pulled back on the hunt. Going to come on through here as Showmaker gives Shiu a target, but it's not exactly the greatest. Now Morgan looking for an angle as the dragon has been pulled out. A fight on multiple fronts now, but Hype gets back to the rest of the 3. Showmaker continuing to be annoying, though, and Morgan is put on a leash. Showmaker's taking Morgan for a walk. And okay, now Lucid and Croco battling it out. It's going to be about this fight to see whether the Infernal Soul's coming in. But the Zeri's already starting to pop up. Morgan going to go down. It's a bloodbath. They get the Infernal Soul, but they get nothing else. And Croco going to try and make his way out with his life, but I just don't think it's going to work as Showmaker connects the chains. Down he will go. That's the ace. And now let's see what DK can go. Can they just win the game?
I think so. I think it's just done. They went for the fight. They went for the collapse, but Showmaker said no. And Dplus continue the run, keeping their chances alive here. Bro, no one to respawn. And I suppose here in Game 4, Digon, it's truly Brover.
It is unfortunately Brover for this year, but remember, we will have a plan. That Brotax will still make it. As DK, they will too. Now up against Nongshim for that last spot in the playoffs. DK keep themselves alive.